Alright, so welcome back to part 2 of my Modern Warfare 3 tier list. If you haven't watched the first one yet, then you can go ahead and check that out first. And before I rank these Modern Warfare 2 weapons here, I'm going to change this current tier list a bit. So Sinus X here said that the KVD Enforcer is just as good as the MTC. I tried it and yeah, they're pretty similar, so my bad for putting this all the way down here. So I'm just gonna move the KVD to good. JALMB, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, said that the WSP9 is actually pretty goated, and you know, I tried it a little bit and watched a few videos on it too, and doesn't seem so bad, so I'm gonna move it up to good. And I kind of want to move the WSP Swinger down to bad, because you know, it's actually kind of crappy, and I want to move the longbow from trash to just bad. Okay, and now the Modern Warfare 2 weapons. Let's start with the M4 here. I want to go over my personal favorites first. So the M4 is an iconic American weapon. I made like 2 to 3 videos on it. I'm gonna show one of them on the top right here. It kind of gets outclassed now, but it does have a solid fire rate, so I'm just gonna put it here in average. And the Lockwood 300 is one of the only Modern Warfare 2 guns that's still actually like sorta good. It's like one shot if you put the special whatever trigger attachment on it. Then we got the Bryson 800. It used to be my favorite pump shotgun in the game, but now it gets outclassed by the other pump shotgun, which is the Lockwood, so really isn't that good. Let's just put it somewhere here, I suppose. And the Bryson 890, a magazine fed version of the Bryson 800. It's pretty much the same thing, but with a better reload. Then we got the one and only KV Broadside. Now, even though it does get outclassed by the Haymaker nowadays, it still is a solid shotgun, still incredibly menacing and feared by many, so I'm gonna put it like right next to the Haymaker. Yeah, there we go, right next to these two. Then we have a full auto shotgun, the MX Guardian. Now, I also made a video on this here. You can click on the top right corner, and it's a full auto shotgun with like slightly higher damage than the Riveter, so it's still meta in my opinion. The SO14, it was a pretty nice battle rifle, but not that good right now, so I'm gonna put it in average. And the TAC V, I guess it's like average, I guess. It's a battle rifle that gets outclassed by the Boss B like right now. So next up we have the FTAC Recon. Who the hell even uses this thing? I'm just gonna put it in bad, never even touched this. The Vel 46 based on the MP7. It was a nice hipfire SMG back then, but now it's just average like every other Modern Warfare 2 gun. The MX9, it's an SMG that nobody really cares about, but you know, it's not too bad. Just put it on average. The good old MP5, the one we all know and love. I also made a video on it that did quite well. You guys can click on it here. And I used to have a really good hipfire loaded, but it kind of nerfed it, so it's just like good now since it gets outclassed by the Striker. And the Vaznev 9K, it used to be a fan favorite SMG, but now nobody really talks about it, so I'm just gonna put it here in average. The FSS Hurricane, an incredibly weird gun with surprisingly low recoil. Again, it gets outclassed by everything else in the new game, so just average. The Miniback is a weird looking submachine gun, but it has a pretty big magazine size, so I'm gonna put it somewhere in average again. And the P90, the iconic P90 with a 50 round mag and not that good in the current game. The Fennec 45, one of the highest fire rate guns in the entire game. Its recoil is a bit too high, unlike in real life where it actually has like a special internal system, but I'm too lazy to explain it. I'm just gonna put it on top here in average. The Expedit 12, you know, it would be an incredibly good shotgun if this was Counter-Strike, except it isn't, and it's actually quite crappy. And the Sakin MG38, it was an okay LMG, but now it's just like too heavy and just outclassed by the Bruin MK9. It's honestly not that good anymore. I mean, it really never was that good anyway, but whatever. The HCR 56, literally nobody ever talked about this thing, and I really don't think it's that good. 5.56 Icarus, it was like a pretty fast fire rate LMG, but it's just average as of right now. Then we got the RAL. It does have high damage for an LMG, but its fire rate is kind of bad. And the RPK used to be the best gun in the entire game back in Season 1 of Warzone, but now they absolutely nerfed it, so I'm gonna put this here in bad. The TAC 56 based on the SCAR, haha, Fortnite. It was a pretty solid assault rifle throughout the entire game, so I'm gonna put it somewhere here in good. The Rap H, I don't think anyone even talks about this either, but it does have a pretty fast fire rate though, so maybe somewhere next to the Icarus. In the EBR-14, what the hell even is this thing? I don't think anyone uses this. I'm just gonna put this next to the Sidewinder. The SPR-208 is like a marksman rifle, I think. I never really touched this thing anyway, but if you like quickscoping, then you can use it, I guess, but I think it's bad. The Lockwood MK2, now if you like role-playing as a cowboy, then you can go ahead and use this gun, but otherwise, it's just completely garbage. The LMS, I don't think anyone ever mentioned this thing ever, but I'm pretty sure it's a semi-auto marksman rifle, so it can't be that bad. The SAB-50, I remember people like quickscoping with this thing, and it seemed pretty fun, except I didn't know how to quickscope back in that time, but you know, honestly, gets outclassed by a lot of other snipers, so I have to put it at bad. And the TAC-M, another semi-auto marksman rifle that I used for like a bit. It was like okay, I guess. The MCPR 300. Now, despite it being outclassed by other snipers, it still is pretty good, actually. It's got like a good ADS speed and damage, you know. The Signal 50, a weird-looking semi-auto sniper. Gets outclassed by a lot of other stuff nowadays, but it, you know, it's decent. LAB 330. Who uses this thing again? Okay, I feel like this game has too many snipers and marksman rifles. Like, nobody even uses this or the Lockwood MK2 or the LMS for that matter. And the Cast-Off 762, our beloved AK-47. It's still actually pretty decent right now in the game, so I have to put it here in good. The SPX-80, it's just about as good as the MCPR, so I'm just gonna put it next to each other here. And the Riot Shield, I absolutely despise this freaking object, but I have to admit it's pretty good in multiplayer and Warzone. The P890, people used to like put akimbo on this thing and go full John Wick mode on it, but now nobody really gives a crap anymore, so it's bad. And the Deagle, the good old Desert Eagle, huh? A high damage pistol. I still use it right now in Modern Warfare 3, and you know, it's actually not that bad as a secondary. The X12, which is a 9mm Glock that nobody even cares anymore. And the Basilisk is another revolver that you could put Snake Shot on, but it's really not worth it because it gets outclassed by the tier. So I'm gonna put it at the bottom of good here. Then we got the full auto 9mm Glock. Well, obviously it's full auto, so it's slightly better than the regular Glock. Then we got the Pila. Nobody really cares about this rocket launcher because it's a bit too heavy or something like that. I'm not sure. But the Strela P, on the other hand, is a great rocket launcher. And you can literally use this as like a secondary sniper. Then the Joker, an absolute piece of trash right next to the Stormender. And the Lachman 556, like an assault rifle version of the MP5. It was okay, I guess, but obviously right now it gets outclassed by almost every single other AR, so it's honestly kinda bad. Then the RPG! And then we got a knife. A regular knife. Come on, man. This is, again, like I said in the last video, it's like bringing a British guy to America, dude. And the M13B, it was an okay assault rifle back then, but again, as I said 100 times earlier, it gets outclassed by many other ARs. And the Boss P, it was a pretty good SMG back in Warzone 2, and I made a video on it as well, but again, it's like not as good as the newly added SMGs like the Striker. And the Victus XMR, this sniper is like good for long range, but the Cat AMR is just better, so I'm just gonna put it somewhere here in average. Then the STP-556, it recently got buffed in an update, so people have started to talk about it now, actually. So I have to put it in good somewhere above the TAC 56, actually. And the M16, the good old M16, incredibly iconic and incredibly American. However, it has a 3-round burst, and I think it's honestly just a piece of garbage. And the Cast-Off 74U. I have not seen a single person ever use this gun in Warzone 2 or Warzone 3. And I don't think you should, because it's really not that good. And the Cast-Off 546 545, basically a lighter version of the cast-off 762 because it uses a lighter bullet, meaning that it's probably got like better recoil control than the cast-off 762, so I'm just gonna put it next to its bigger brother here. Then we got the Lachman 762, its recoil is simply too high, and the Chimera based off of the Honey Badger, again as I said earlier, gets outclassed by basically every other AR. And the ISO Hemlock was like incredibly meta back in like season 2 or something. I loved using this with the KV broadside, but now it's just average. Then we have a crossbow. Why would you even want a crossbow? Like, why use a crossbow when you can have freaking sniper rifles? And the Tempest Torrent, it's a pretty good marksman rifle with a good fire rate, so it's actually decent, you know? And the FJX Imperium, it's based off of the iconic Intervention. You know, it's still pretty good nowadays, so I'm gonna put it right next to the RPG. And the Cronin Squall was the best battle rifle, but now nobody really gives a crap about it. And the FTAC Siege, based off of the Tech 9. Now, I've actually used this just recently, and for some reason, it's incredibly freaking underrated, dude. Like, nobody's talking about this freaking full auto pistol, which you can basically convert into an SMG with the right attachments. Then we have the full auto Deagle. I'm obviously just gonna put this next to the Deagle. Then we got the Tempest Razorback, another gun from Modern Warfare 2 that's still meta in Warzone 3, actually. The ISO 45, it was a nice SMG, and that's pretty much all I have to say, actually. The FR Advancer, basically a full auto version of the FR 556, but obviously full auto comes with higher recoil, and I can't really manage it. The Carrack .300, a weird looking sniper, but you know, it's not bad, just average, I guess. The M13C, a lighter version of the M13B, but they're actually basically the same thing. I don't even know why they added this thing, actually. The Lachman Shroud, a 3-round burst silence variation of the Lachman Sub. I tried it and it's actually decent, you know? The 9mm Damon, a lot of people pretend to be John Wick while holding this pistol. And, you know, it's actually pretty... Okay, you know what? It's actually just average. And we got the TR-76 Geist. People talked about this for a whole 2 weeks and nobody cares about it anymore. And finally, we got the ISO 9mm, a lighter version of the ISO 45. People talked about it a lot for, again, 2 weeks, and then everybody just freaking forgot about it. And yeah, there we have it, our complete Modern Warfare 3 weapons tier list. Comment down any disagreements you have, and maybe I'll make a part 3 where I'll just change up stuff a bit, I guess. But as for now, this will be our nice tier list. And actually, I want to move the MTC 762 up to meta. And yep, there we have it. Like and subscribe. And if you did, then you can go ahead and click on these other videos here. They'll lead you to some of the loadouts I did in the past, which are probably still decent now. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video.